Hey folks, welcome to another episode of Forever. Today takes me back once again virtually live from day 2 of the 2020 Augmented World Expo. And I expected to not actually have enough content to cover today, but one of my friends actually, as I was talking to him, said, I think you've got enough to do. Love to see another episode tonight, so thank you to Tyrell Wood for suggesting that I make episode 10 today. And also thank you to the folks at AWE at A Reality Event for giving me press access to the Augmented World Expo, because I actually missed a lot of the content today due to my regular day job happening at the same hours. So being able to go back and watch back via tape delay a lot of the conference presentations was super helpful, and that's where a lot of the content you're about to see came from. The biggest news of the day, Unity announced their Mars software platform mixed and augmented reality studio is coming June 1st. That's next Monday. So we'll be able to download that and play with it. Again, Unity is kind of a free software unless you make a certain amount of money off of whatever you're developing. So you will have those tools available to you to download for free. I'm excited to check it out because I am starting to get into augmented reality development. I've purchased a Nreal Light developer kit, which hopefully will be shipping soon. And I also this week purchased a Magic Leap 1 Creator Edition on the secondhand market, and I'm hoping that also ships soon as well. So I'll be working with those two devices and augmented reality and hopefully coming up with something pretty cool to share in the near future. In addition to Mars, a couple of other cool software solutions. The first was Metaverse, and Metaverse is a AR and mixed reality web-based software development kit. So this is something that you don't need any additional tools. Coding experience is not required. There is a kind of a JavaScript plugin to it, but you can actually build 3D models, place those 3D models, and build out small applications to build out your own metaverse within the real world. And third, in the software space, is PlugXR. PlugXR is another AR toolkit that's available, and you can deploy the code from it as either an APK, an IPA, or to the web. And that is a no-coding drag and drop solution. There's no coding solutions. I'm not really sure how limited or how extensive they are. I noticed that both Metaverse and PlugXR have a lot of sample content, and that sample content looks extremely impressive. But I'm not sure for people getting into development, which again, I might try both of these out just as experiments, but I'm more excited right now about the Mars software because both Metaverse and PlugXR seem to have some type of a subscription model after a trial solution. So I'm not sure what the difference between the three software packages are. I suspect Unity is going to be a little bit more powerful overall. But as tools that you can just pick up and build, Metaverse and PlugXR both look like they're fairly easy to pick up and kind of pull in assets that you've either created or downloaded from different platforms, whether it be avatars, whether it be models from, like, as an example, a workflow could be using Google Blocks in VR, creating a model, exporting that model, and then putting that in your PlugXR experience. That's something that you could definitely do. So you could actually build out these, I don't even want to call them applications. You can build out these models or filters or objects to place in another piece of software and then pull them in here. Or, of course, there are assets that are available that you can just quickly drag and drop into PlugXR and also, I believe, Metaverse. Another panel that I was excited to watch was Anthony Vitillo, also known as Scarred Ghost, did a panel talking about using your brain to control VR. And he did talk about several on-the-market solutions and some that are upcoming. On that particular panel, one of the things that I really am excited about is this particular type of software can be used by people that are disabled. My sister has cerebral palsy. Using one of these devices, she could actually control things without using her arms, without using her legs. So I'm anxious for a future where you might be able to control objects using only your brain. One of the pieces of software that he showed was actually using the HoloLens and moving a robot forward, left, and right using just the power of your mind. So it was cool to see that, cool to see someone that I followed for a long time on Twitter and read his blog showing off something that I had interest in. But again, this is a panel that I probably would have watched on tape delay later as opposed to going to it live. Outside of, I would have loved to have met Anthony. LynxR was revealed actually a while back. I believe it was around CES, but not necessarily at CES. I know it was earlier this year that LynxR came out. I think it was actually a presentation here in the San Francisco Bay Area that they revealed this headset shortly after CES. And the founder of the company that's making the LynxR gave a presentation. It was about a 20-minute presentation. A lot of these AWE presentations are 20 minutes or half an hour long, which is a good chunk of time so that they can fill that schedule. There's hundreds of people speaking throughout this expo. One of the things that was huge that was announced was while it's got great eye tracking, it's got what the founder considers the best lenses. It's got the XR2 chip from Qualcomm. It's also got hand tracking as the primary solution. They're not going to ship any type of controllers with the LynxR headset when it ships later this year. And kind of like the VR Space Moda that was revealed yesterday, or Muva rather, that was released yesterday, I'm a little puzzled about where the LynxR fits in the market. I know it's being sold to enterprise users, but while it can be both a flexible augmented reality device and I believe it's 90 degrees by 90 degrees FOV, it can also be used as a run-of-the-mill VR headset. Only having hand tracking still to me feels a little bit limiting. This one also, I believe, isn't at the Qualcomm XR2 like reference spec. It's a little bit more limited than that, but that allows them to ship sooner and to make their own custom improvements. One of the things that was stated during the panel is this particular headset is being built as a modular device. A lot of things sound really cool, but it's one of those headsets where I really need to see it and try it to believe it. And unfortunately, because of the way the world is today, where you can't actually go to an expo and try out a product, I know both the LynxR folks who couldn't be in a real expo hall this week and myself kind of feel bad. Like I would have a lot more excitement had I tried this device and been wowed by it than just seeing this 20-minute presentation. They did say this particular device is going to be more details shared at the end of June, and I believe shipping in August to the first folks that have paid for it. It is available at lynx-r.com if you want to check it out. I believe the price point's around $1,500, which is a common price point for an enterprise intended device for both virtual reality and augmented reality, which is cool because, as they described, it's kind of a best of both worlds device. And then the last thing that I saw that was really cool, but is really just a prototype, it was stressed at the beginning of the presentation that this particular product is really just a research project and not something that's intended to be a new Intel product that might be coming to market. And it's a product, or a project, I should say, called ThinVR. And what this particular project was doing was taking a bunch of small little lenslet lenses and putting them together to build an array that is then used to widen your field of view with curved displays from a couple of phones. So what they did is they actually had a curved display for each eye, and they built this thin layered plastic piece around this lenslet array, and it allows for up to around 180 degree field of view in each eye. And they were panning the little camera around, and honestly, it looked amazing. There were some artifacts, there was a little bit of distortion on the edges and things of that nature, but this was just a prototype to play with. They built a couple of prototypes, one that was a dynamic range and one that was a static screen in front of them, and it looked really promising. Now again, this is not something that's necessarily going to become a actual product in the future, but it's interesting to see the exploration of different technology to apply to improve virtual reality optics like this. So it was cool to see that particular research project presented the way that it was today. Again, not a day that it was like gangbusters, got to go out and buy a product. More of a day of learning, a day of celebrating research, and a day where a lot of the other panels were talking about how we move on in the world today, with the world having been shut down for a good period of time now. How does the world adapt to where we're at today and where we'll be tomorrow? One of the other things that I didn't build a slide for, but I want to mention is there's been a lot of talk around what happens now to location-based entertainment experiences for both augmented and virtual reality. And I will say there were several presentations today where they talked about the plans to move forward. Nobody's closing up shop. Survios, Dreamscape Immersive, The Void, several other locations are still moving forward, and I'm excited to see what they bring out in celebration of getting back into the world sometime in the next months. My final slide for today. Throughout the day, HP has teased this announcement of tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Now, one of the things I want to point out is there is no Pacific Standard Time right now. We're actually in Pacific Daylight Time. I'm assuming that was a typo, and they meant it's going to be 9 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time tomorrow. And this looks like a speaker, a specific speaker, the speaker that would be on the Valve Index. And I do know that HP earlier in the year teased a next generation product that had what looked to be those speakers on it after a photo was enhanced. And there have been some other rumors and some other images that have been released in the past couple of days, potentially leaked, potentially on purpose, of a virtual reality headset device with some slightly different than Windows Mixed Reality controllers. I have a feeling it's probably going to be somewhat related to that. There are two presentations at AWE tomorrow, one at 9:20 a.m. and one at 4 o'clock p.m. The 4 o'clock p.m. presentation is actually in AltSpace. Both of those presentations include speakers from both Microsoft and HP. So I'm hoping this does have something to do with Windows Mixed Reality, and also maybe has something more tangible than just virtual reality to it, or other surprises potentially for it as well. I honestly don't know what this is, and that's cool. It's like when people were teasing the Rift S, or people were initially teasing the Valve Index. It's nice to have that little bit of unknown uncertainty and anticipation of a product. Now, is this going to be a product that I'm going to really want tomorrow, and I'm going to start putting my pennies together to buy? I don't know. Tune in tomorrow and find out. I have a special guest coming on as well to discuss some of the announcements that are happening tomorrow. Until then, please remember that VR isn't dead. With the amount of stuff that's been announced just this week, there's new hardware, there's new software, there's new augmented reality tools, there's new virtual reality tools. VR isn't dead. Not by any means. It's forever. See you tomorrow.